Tonight on The Final Play, we've got Saints quarterback Drew Brees like you've rarely heard him before. He's candid.
First of all, I didn't back off until 45.
Talking football, Hurricane Katrina, and his options after he hangs up his cleats. Leonard Fournette's being mentioned in the Heisman Trophy conversations, but the rest of his LSU teammates are going to have to fight for some respect this season. Chad Sabity gets us up to speed.
John Jones for 3.
And break up the Pelicans. They've taken Vegas by storm, and a win against Phoenix tonight puts them in a Summer League championship game. We're going baseline to baseline next.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is The Final Play, brought to you by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and Oceanic Grill.
Welcome into The Final Play, everyone. We've got so much to get to tonight. We go one-on-one with Saints quarterback Drew Brees, and we'll hit the road to Las Vegas, where our Pelicans are chasing a championship. But you know we have to begin with LSU, a team that's got some proving to do this fall. SEC voters spoke loud and clear at last week's football media days. They're not impressed with the Tigers, picking them to finish third in the West. Question is, will that slight wake up the Bayou Bengals? Here's Chad Sabity from Hoover, Alabama.
With so much parity in the conference this year, several teams are capable of winning the SEC. But LSU is not one of the favorites, with the media picking the Tigers to finish just third in the West behind Alabama and Auburn.
We're going to work like hell to earn our way and not really care who's picked. And, you know, we know and we recognize there's going to be great competition in this Western Division, and it's going to start really right away for us. So I think that those are probably good picks. I don't know that we'll play to that eventuality, though.
It just makes us grind harder in the summertime and the spring, and makes us want to be number one. And when the season comes, everything we put forward in the summer and the spring, we have to show it when the season comes.
After posting at least 10 victories from 2010 to 2013, LSU stumbled down the stretch last fall, losing 3 of its final 4 games to finish 8-5, matching the worst record during the 10-year Les Miles era. But the Mad Hatter remains consistent with his approach.
What we need to do to improve is just to get great quarterback play and receiving play, continue to run the football, play the defense that we've played in the past, with the fact that we'll get a little more turnovers. Our special teams are back intact. I don't want to freshen up things so much that I change the script for what's been 103 victories in 10 years. You know, we won 8 and I'm miserable about it, okay? In fact, I got to be honest with you, we won 4 in a row, and I'm miserable about that too, okay? So my point is I just don't know how fresh I can get.
LSU ran the ball nearly 70% of the time last year. And with a first-team All-SEC pick in Leonard Fournette, look for more of the same. There's even Heisman Trophy buzz surrounding the do-it-all talent from St. Aug, who struck that pose following his first career touchdown with the Tigers.
I'm not really focused on the Heisman. You know, that was last season's thing. You know, I was young, you know. But I just want the national championship with my team. At the end of the day, that's what I want.
I think Leonard Fournette is probably one of the most talented guys I've ever seen in my life. So if anybody could win it, it could be a guy like that. Him, Jeremy Hill, Odell Beckham, they're in the same class as far as talent-wise. So as long as he makes me look good, I'm good.
But Fournette can't do it all himself. LSU's poor quarterback play was perhaps the biggest reason the Tigers lost 5 games last year. And either Anthony Jennings or Brandon Harris will have to take a huge leap forward this fall.
I mean, I see those guys go out, and them guys, they work hard, man. They really work hard. They really have improved. And, I mean, those guys, they've become some great leaders. So I think I'm comfortable with either one.
However, Jennings is currently suspended following his arrest last month.
We're going to have to let that legal hurdle play out, see what it really is or isn't, okay? And before we make any decisions along those lines. The only real factor certainly is that Brandon Harris has been getting a lot of the summer work and has improved significantly, I guess. I don't know. I've not seen him. And so then we come into camp, and I'll be optimistic when I say that about Anthony. When we come into camp, I would suggest that the competition would then pick our quarterback thereafter.
Defensively, the Tigers finished 5th nationally in points allowed per game last season, but there were too many late-game letdowns. John Chavis bolted for Texas A&M, and Les Miles hired former Bama assistant Kevin Steele to take the reins.
It's been great, man. You know, he treats us like professionals, and I mean, he just expects a lot from us. So it's been great working with him. He does a great job of making sure we understand the terminology, understand the plays, and we go out and make sure we go out and execute them. So it's just been great. It's been great learning from him. He's a great man.
Very similar to the defenses we put on the field. I think they'll be violent. I think they'll be tackling, physical, come to the line of scrimmage. I think I think we'll have a very comfortable adjustment to style of, motion and stem and those adjustments that will take place in the secondary. I think there'll be some schematic differences that you guys may not necessarily pick, but we'll look forward to.
When the calendar soon turns from July to August, LSU will kick off its fall camp and the 2015 season roughly a month later. Despite a down year, the Tigers have plenty of reasons for optimism to return to the country's elite this fall.
Our team now comes in a little bit less than 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks, and how much we'll look forward to starting the season.
The Tigers got 10 first-place votes, but are still expected to finish third behind 2 Alabama schools. The Tide are expected to top the West, right in front of Auburn based on overall points, even though Auburn got more first-place votes. Go figure. 4 through 7 have Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. We're just getting started here. Still to come on The Final Play, our exclusive one-on-one with Saints quarterback Drew Brees. It's a two-parter. You don't want to miss a second of it. And later, the Pelicans are chasing a Summer League championship. We've got your semifinal highlights against the Phoenix Suns coming up on The Final Play.
You're watching The Final Play.
No one wants to imagine this guy playing for another team, just like no one wants to think about another Hurricane Katrina hitting Louisiana. But here's the thing. If the latter didn't happen, Brees coming to New Orleans wouldn't have happened either. In part one of my exclusive interview with Brees, he touched on a number of subjects, from understanding the responsibility that came with him playing here after Katrina to if he still believes he'll play until he's 45 years old.
I could play for another 10 years, that would be my goal. I mean, I'm taking it 1 year at a time, but there's no reason why I couldn't do that.
Last year, you didn't raise controversy, but you raised some eyebrows telling me I wanted to play till 45. Kind of backed off that a little bit, though. But when the team goes out and gets Grayson, during the draft, what does that remind you about what the NFL is all about?
Well, first of all, I didn't back off playing until 45.
Okay.
Basically, what I did was I kind of narrowed it down into, it's not 10 more years, it's 10 one year deals.
Time, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, there's nothing more important than what's right in front of me. And, you just narrowed it down from one season to one game to one practice to just tomorrow. Here we are going into this season. This is the most important season of my career, bottom line, and that's the way I look at it. And so I'll be prepared as such.
But the time is going to come eventually where the franchise has to make a decision.
Yeah.
Can you ever envision yourself not being in black and gold?
My mind is not even close to being there.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, it's at some point, am I no longer going to be playing football? Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
But I'm not thinking about that time right now.
When you came in 2006, did you have a pretty clear understanding then of the responsibility of not only signing with this team, but then leading this team so close after Katrina? Did you kind of understand what all it entailed?
I don't think I truly understood the magnitude of the responsibility when we first signed here, and yet my wife Brittany and I certainly felt a calling to New Orleans that this was so much more than just football, so much more than just coming here and being a part of a football team and helping to kind of restart my career and turn around this organization. It was so much more about helping to revive the city, resurrect the city, and be a part of that rebirth. And we felt that calling immediately. I mean, that's why we chose to sign with New Orleans, and kind of that legendary story about Sean Payton getting lost as he's trying to drive us back to, the facility where, we saw firsthand that devastation and realized that this was so much more than just football.
Mid-morning in Kenner. Armed members of the Arkansas National Guard search cars for contraband.
The homes and businesses here in St. Bernard are boarded up and abandoned, some with messages to criminals. But this alone is not enough to keep the looters away.
Today, people in 2 zip codes saw their mail for the first time in over a month.
Any lesser player would have said, you know what, I can't deal with all that's going on there. That's too much. I just want to go play football. But based on how your faith and everything that you believe in, you wanted to come here and help get the city back to where it used to be.
Would we have ended up in New Orleans any other way? I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, and so New Orleans, unfortunately, had to go through that. And I unfortunately had to go through the injury that I went through in San Diego. And yet, it's what created this opportunity.
I remember doing a story on you many, many years ago when you first got here about growing up and what you would have done if it wasn't football. Ted Williams, obviously, you like him, your numbers based on his number. Have you ever done a what if? What if I didn't play football? How successful could I have been at baseball? Because I know at Purdue you had the opportunity to do that then.
Yeah.
You ever thought about that now?
The thought, every time I watch a baseball game on TV or, you know, see one in person or something, I mean, I have a love for that game, you know, and always have, always will. And so, yeah, the thought might cross my mind as to, what if I would have gone that route? Or
could have been the next prime time or Bo Jackson, you know, fly in one.
You never know. I mean, listen, my goal when I was growing up was to be one of the only 3-sport athletes in college, football, basketball, baseball, and then to be the only 3-sport professional athlete.
And at what point did that go away?
Well,
or did it have to go away?
Listen, I'm pretty confident, borderline cocky, and so there's probably a piece of me that still feels like I could do that.
Yeah, no doubt.
We delve a dova. Hustle, man.
Still ahead, part 2 with Drew Brees, and he answers the question, is he a Hall of Famer right now? And our Pelicans answer the question, are they ready to play for a championship? Summertime hoops from Vegas are still ahead.
You're watching The Final Play.
Respect. Drew Brees has certainly earned it from his peers, and no one is more revered in this community than number 9. But when it comes to the rest of the NFL, his status as an elite quarterback should not be questioned. But surprisingly, it sometimes is.
He's got room. He can run. He dives, and he's in.
You look at stats, wins, championships. You look at those 3 things that get you into the Hall of Fame. You have all those things since you've been here in New Orleans. Forget what happened before that. If the season ended now, you could get in. Would you be a Hall of Famer, do you think?
That's not for me to decide. Yeah. I have so much more I want to accomplish. More championships to be won, more special moments with this franchise, this organization. That is the furthest thing from my mind.
Does it bother you, because I know you're incredibly competitive in everything that you do. Does it bother you that when people talk about the best quarterbacks today, they don't mention you all the time? Is that important to you now, or will it be more important to you 5, 10 years down the line when your kids are coming up through high school and they're talking about guys they watch on television who they remember? When will it be important to you, or will it ever?
I think at some point, I mean, everyone loves to be appreciated. Everyone loves to be, kind of feel justified, you know. But bottom line is this, as long as my teammates are proud to have played with me, I mean, that's the thing that's most important to me, is that I'm representing them in the best way that I can. And I hope that they'll talk about me the same way that I talk about them. And certainly that's what I want my kids to be able to say about, you know, being able to see their father play as well.
When the team goes out and gets Grayson, you know, during the draft, what does that remind you about what the NFL is all about?
I know that as the years go on, you know, and as we build the team through free agency and through the draft, and, you know, you're going to lose some veteran guys, you're going to acquire guys. I mean, there's this constant, you know, flow and some turnover and such. And I feel like we've actually been on the lower end in regards to turnover, as opposed to maybe some other teams. You know, there's still 4 guys on this offense that have been together for 10 years. 10 years. And if you go back to last year, we had 3 more that were here for 7 or 8 of those years. So It's pretty incredible when you can have 7 or 8 guys together on a team for 8 years.
But you know the time is going to come eventually where the franchise has to make a decision.
Yeah.
Can you ever envision yourself not being in black and gold?
My mind is not even close to being there.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, it's at some point, am I no longer going to be playing football? Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
But I'm not thinking about that time right now.
It seems like the trend right now is leave football, leave whatever professional sport you're doing. Kevin Johnson did. We've seen NFL players do it. The next step is going into politics, it's some political arena, because name recognition is a big thing in this arena.
Sure.
Could you see yourself, Mayor Brees, in New Orleans?
Well, I mean, I don't know about what aspect of politics, but I could see myself involved in it at some point, potentially. There are so many things that I want to do, and I'm certainly not closing the door on anything. But when I evaluate whatever it is that's going to be, it's, you know, number one, do I have a passion for it? Number two, do I feel like I could, you know, make a difference? And that's really the things that I would look at whenever I would evaluate, you know, an opportunity like that.
Was it important to you that the Saints were out in front leading this city's revival?
I think it was very important that the Saints were out in front helping to lead the revival post-Katrina, because I feel like there's a great responsibility that comes with being a professional athlete and being part of a professional sports organization. And I think it's very unique in the relationship that the New Orleans Saints have with the city of New Orleans. I think that's unlike any relationship between team and city, any sport, anywhere. And yet, you just realize how many people, you know, look to you for that type of inspiration and to lift their spirit and to, you know, guide them in so many ways. I mean, just look at last year with all the social issues that were kind of brought to the forefront based upon some things that were happening in the NFL. And I know myself and I know many veteran guys in the NFL, you know, we want to be guys that are setting the example, you know, setting the best example that we can for the rest of society, for young people that look up to us, just like we looked up to those that came before us when we were young men thinking about wanting to be leaders. So I think that that's very important, whatever you're talking about, social issues, causes, or, you know, the revival of city post-Katrina. Yeah, we want to be at the forefront of that, leading the way.
Last thing, if the Superdome walls could talk, and I'm sure they do all the time, what do you think they're saying to the players, to yourself, to the fan base, many of whom were probably in there on that dreaded day after Katrina, their only place of, I guess, shelter? What do you think those walls say right now?
Keep getting louder, baby. Keep shaking these walls. I hope that's what they're saying.
In just 10 days, the Saints report to training camp in West Virginia, and here's hoping the second time around that the Greenbrier produces a better regular season result than the first. So we want to continue getting you ready for camp by counting down our top 20 current Saints players. We've reached the top 10, so here's 10 through 6. At number 10 is left tackle Teron Armstead. Perhaps the best thing to come out of an otherwise disappointing season last year was the Saints' resurgence in the running game. And a big reason why was Armstead. His athleticism and strength helped fuel Mark Ingram to his best season in 2014. In pass protection, Armstead was very raw as a rookie in 2013. He improved dramatically in that area last year, and the Saints are banking that the arrow is still pointing up for year number 3 for the man that protects Drew Brees' blind side.
Handoff Ingram, right side with second effort to the goal line. He's in.
At number 9 is our first running back in the countdown, Mark Ingram. Ingram picked the perfect time to have a career year. His 964 yards, 9 touchdowns, and first Pro Bowl appearance earned him a new 4-year, $16 million contract in the offseason. It's safe to say Ingram's emergence was one of the best things to come out of an otherwise disappointing 2014 season. Above all else, Ingram finally established his identity as a volume carry back. However, his new money means new opportunities and new expectations within the Saints offense. Ingram will be counted on to both stay healthy and match his production in 2015. Coming at number 8 is a newcomer to the Saints, running back C.J. Spiller. Spiller wasn't originally in the Saints' offseason plans, but once he became available, Sean Payton knew he had to have him. Listening to Payton talk all offseason, you can sense that Spiller will be a major chess piece in the Saints' offensive arsenal. His diverse skill set will be utilized rushing, returning, and especially receiving out of the backfield. It's where the absence of Darren Sproles clearly hurt the Saints in 2014. Spiller will step in immediately to fill that role and should have the same impact, perhaps even more.
They fake it to Hillman. They look down the field to Welker, who drops it, and it's intercepted into the arms of Browner.
At number 7 is cornerback Brandon Browner. Browner is big and intimidating, exactly the kind of player the Saints wanted in their secondary. He also brings the bravado of back-to-back Super Bowl titles. His physical style of play and intense demeanor should set the tone for leadership inside that Saints locker room. Browner will shore up the Saints' biggest weakness last year, which in turn should allow Rob Ryan's defense to be more productive in 2015. At number 6 is safety Jairus Byrd. The Saints' proven free agent acquisition from a year ago never quite got going in 2014. He was injured most of the offseason and parts of the preseason and suffered a meniscus tear just 4 games into the regular season. It was unfortunate because the Saints had big plans for Byrd, but now he's back, ready and healthy. The Saints want him to be the ball hawk he's always been throughout his career. In fact, they're demanding that from him. If he can, he'll be a huge catalyst for the rejuvenation of that defense in 2015. Time to switch gears to the round ball. Our Pelicans are red hot right now. We'll head west, young man, for some Vegas Summer League action. Pels and Suns semifinal highlights are next on The Final Play.
You're watching The Final Play.
Welcome back. We're down the stretch here on The Final Play. We've got the Pelicans and the Phoenix Suns in Las Vegas. And how about Seth Curry, the drive and score right here? Curry was cold early on, but he began to heat up. He also got some teammates involved. How about Kim Birch with the dunk? Pelicans at that point down by 140-39. I mentioned Seth Curry began to heat up as the game went on. He had 21 points on the evening, 3 of them coming right here from beyond the arc. The Pels at this point down by just 6. And once again, Curry sharing the basketball, gets to the rim, finds Victor Rudd wide open, and he's got some range, knocks down that three-pointer. A 16-2 run by the Pels. They led by 1 at the end of the third quarter. But then the Pelicans defense got complacent. They could not find Devin Booker. Knocks down the 3 right here. And then a bit later on, Booker for 3 once again. He had a game-high 31 points for the Phoenix Suns as the Suns knock off the Pelicans 93-87. They are out in the semifinal round. And we want to thank you for staying up with us tonight. For all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Have a great night. We'll see you again next Sunday night on The Final Play.
The Final Play was brought to you by Southern Quality Ford Dealers and Oceana Grill.